be a man, don't cry, be a man. So that's an idea of an overexpression of masculinity in that sense that becomes toxic.
He, him, she, her, they, Z.
What's
People
Z?
are, Z is,
But pronouns are just used in English
We
language.
never used to. This has just only started 10 years ago. Nobody ever...
Pronouns has always been used in the English language.
I come at you as one of your own, only I didn't go mad.
I appreciate you admitting
Only
that.
I didn't go mad.
Piers, I read your book. That's not the case.
Let me give
you spent most of the book
if you read
in your mouth.
If you read the... Sorry?
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. In this video, we are going to be watching Piers Morgan versus 20 woke liberals on Jubilee. So basically what this is boomer liberal versus woke liberals. This one should be good, so without further ado, let's see how Piers Morgan does against the Jubilee All-Stars.
How are you?
Good to see you.
What's your name?
Parker.
Parker, I'm Piers.
I've been on your show, bro.
Yes, I thought I recognized you. When was that?
After the Jordan Peterson Jubilee debate.
Yes, that's right, you did.
He has quoted us as gaytheists on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. How'd you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I think it was ridiculous. I'm literally straight, but...
Oh, you're straight?
Yeah.
Okay, well, then I can understand why you'd find that annoying.
Oh, I don't find it annoying. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to use that as an argument. But in
I
general...
will not call you a gaytheist.
Okay, in general, the point that I would make here is that toxic masculinity is kind of an overexpression of certain masculine traits that we see in this certain context to be harmful. We're not saying all masculine traits are harmful or it's harmful to be a masculine man. It's certain characteristics that we would associate with masculinity.
Which trait do you think is harmful?
Yeah, like for example, an overexpression of stoicism. And I think that a lot of red pill people...
What?
Wait, hold up, let me explain. I said an overexpression of stoicism.
How can stoicism ever
be overexpressed?
Ever be a bad thing? Explain to me.
Yeah, so again, if you were to specifically hide your feelings and put them underneath specifically for, like, say, the death of a loved one, I don't think that would be harmful, I mean, positive specifically for you addressing your feelings in that circumstance. I think you should address those feelings, talk about them, express them to loved ones and people that are comfortable, you're comfortable around.
That doesn't mean you can't still be stoic.
Well, then what do you mean by stoicism? Because I'm talking about an overexpression of keeping down your emotions and not expressing them.
No, that's not what
actively, positively addressing them.
Stoicism doesn't mean you have to be an sort of unemotional, Spock from Star Trek. That's not what it means at all. Stoicism means that when you're dealt a tough blow in life, you're able to reach inside yourself and deal with it in a strong manner, right? Which is a good thing. I always quote to my kids, they can all tell you the speech off by heart. There's a scene in my favorite films were the Rocky movies. The first four were great. The fifth one was a turkey. The sixth one came back called Rocky Balboa. And in it, Rocky's son's in his 20s. He's a spoilt brat. He hates being Rocky's son. He's whining about everything. He's kind of pretty woke, weak, whiny, moaning about his lot in life. Telling him, woe is me all the time. So Rocky eventually has it out with his son in the street. And he says, look, life is tough. It will beat you down and it will keep you down if you let it. If you want to win at life, you've got to learn it's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit, get back up, and keep moving forward. No, that's how winning is done.
No one's arguing against that in general.
So that's
right?
but that is stoicism.
So, but you're misunderstanding my argument. I'm saying an overexpression of watering down and not addressing your emotions. I think we both agree that would be a bad expression of your emotions. And oftentimes men view it that way because they say if you address your emotions to any degree, there's going to be, don't be a man, don't cry, be a man. So that's an idea of an overexpression of masculinity in that sense that becomes toxic.
So you say
does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And so you say
so that you agree toxic masculinity makes sense.
No. That's not what I'm saying. So you would find it objectionable to use the phrase "man up," for example.
In the context in which someone is having a positive address of their particular emotions, and in typical, I wouldn't use into like that type of phrase. You'd say maybe you should address your emotions in a more positive way. Maybe you should go to therapy. A lot of people should do that. Like men should go to therapy. It's an important thing that they should do.
Maybe,
and that would be positive for their life.
I've never been to therapy in my life.
You should.
And I don't cry all the time. I think the last time I cried was about 12 years ago when my grandmother died. I just think this is overdone. We just moved from an incredibly stoic generation, say the World War II generation, who were literally sacrificing their lives for their country, but weren't crying all the time, to an era now.
No, wait, why are you associating what I'm saying with crying all the time or being weak?
You're the one who mentioned crying, so let me just explain what I'm talking about. I don't think it suits anybody to encourage a society to constantly be over-emotional either.
I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying you should suppress emotions, and if you feel emotions about something, I'm all for it. I can get emotional with the best of them, normally about my football team, but I don't spend all my time blubbing like a baby. And my argument with
Who said that?
Well, hang on, I'm going to finish my point. I think that if you look at the woke world generally, there seems to be a premium on over-emoting and not enough of a premium, in my view, of stiff upper lip, pull yourself together and crack on. Because let me tell you, there are two things you want to worry about in life, really worry about. I say this to my kids: dying and getting a terminal illness. Outside of those two things, everything is surmountable. You can overcome anything.
What about if your partner cheats on you?
But what you've got, yeah,
like,
even
does it
that.
make sense? Okay, so there are plenty of examples we can give where people
Yes,
are going to have
but
like
my point is,
legitimate circumstances to cry or be sad. But like I'm asking you, like in the circumstance, give us specific what you're referencing in terms of these woke liberals of how they're being too overly emotional.
Well, you're talking to me about why you want people to be more emotional.
So Parker here with the claim that overexpression of stoicism is toxic masculinity. And he reckons that men need to address their emotions in a positive way. And how do they do that? They go to therapy. Because things like stoicism can't possibly help you to address your emotions at all, can they? But I mean, many of you would have picked up on this, but this is just obviously ridiculous. Marcus Aurelius, the most famous Stoic philosopher, who is also one of Rome's greatest ever emperors, wrote a collection of private journals. They survived, were copied, and later were compiled into his meditations. He literally wrote an entire book about his feelings and how to deal with them. And I mean, Stoicism is an ancient Greek philosophy that was spread and popularized in ancient Rome as well. It viewed knowledge as a virtue and focuses on using reason to control emotions and finding happiness by distinguishing between what you can and cannot control. So yeah, thanks Parker. Tell us more about how the Stoics should go to therapy. But I mean, today, Stoicism does colloquially mean what Piers Morgan said it does. It's about the endurance of pain and hardship without the overt displays of feelings and without too much complaint. I mean, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being stoic. There's nothing wrong with even being extremely stoic and logical and dependable to those around you. And actually, as a man, there's nothing worse than being overly emotional about trivial things. So let's move on. But before we get there, I need to mention the sponsor of today's video, Ground News. Guys, Ground News has been one of my favorite sources for years now, and I'm glad to be partnered with them because I've been using them for years, even way before I ever started Rattlesnake TV. And the reason why I like this brand so much is because they compile tens of thousands of sources from around the internet and put them all in one place, so you don't have to get all of these random subscriptions from everywhere. And on the topic of woke being dead, check out this story I found today. Pro-Palestinian protesters arrested trying to block Black Friday sales at an NYC Apple store. And as you can see, you can click through and see how it's being reported left, center, and right. You can see the bias tracker and even the factuality of the sources. And whilst this is a great product, the deal is even better. For Rattlesnake TV listeners, you can get 40% off the Vantage plan today, which is what I use, by going to ground.news/rattlesnake. That is ground.news/rattlesnake. That will be at the top of the comments and in the bio. And don't forget, guys, when you support Ground News, you help to support creators like myself. With that, let's get back to it.
I'm telling you, I don't think that's necessarily
I want them to express
a
it
good
in
thing.
positive manners, like go to therapy, like how I told you.
Yeah, but I think we're over-therapied. Everyone I know over here goes to therapy.
You haven't gone to therapy at all. How are you over-therapy?
Why don't you come and talk to me if you want to talk to somebody? I'll soon sort you out.
Wait, I can talk to my therapist and we can
I
actually
know,
engage
but is
in
it
positive
working?
reconstruction
Is it
of
working?
how I address things. Yes, actually, it's been very helpful for my mental health and my emotional health to be able to talk them through, to be able to like, what can I do to like make myself feel better in these circumstances? Am I being genuinely like real here? Like, or am I being a little bit too overly emotional in circumstances? It's totally a question I ask my therapist all the time.
Yeah,
so if you want to talk about being overly emotional, how to address being overly emotional, how about you just start with therapy?
Parker.
What's your solution?
Parker.
What's your solution?
Calm down.
I'm calm. I'm totally calm. Wait, do you think me talking fast is not being like calm?
Just think you don't want me to get a word in, right? And
I wanted to finish my statement.
Right, I just think people go to therapy too much. Sorry, I do. You may not like to hear it, because I just think going and talking to some stranger about all your problems all the time, get a grip.
It's not all the time. It's every once in a while you go and talk about your problems specifically so you can address them. Do you not talk about your problems ever with anyone?
I look at Parker.
This is the problem I talked about.
Stop talking. I look at you and I see somebody who's confident, you're a good talker, you're obviously intelligent, you've obviously got a lot going for you. Stop spending all this money going to see some stranger to go over everything in agonizing
It's not that much
detail.
money to be able to go every once in a while to go see a therapist for me specifically in my life.
I've never been to one in my life.
It's not much money for you. You could easily go with the money that you make and go talk to a therapist.
I've no need to go to a therapist.
I understand you don't want to. Everyone says that specifically before going into it. I said the same thing. But I'm telling you, you can actually address your emotions in a positive way.
Parker,
And also,
Parker, here's what I'd rather do. I would rather, honestly, have groups of people like you in the woke world, right, who clearly are struggling with regular life, right?
I'm not struggling with regular
everything's
life.
a calamity, everything's a problem, has to be overanalyzed,
No one said
over-dissected,
that.
over-therapized. And I just think you've all got to be given the mental tools to deal with ordinary life. Ordinary life.
We already have them.
Ordinary
I actually
life,
have gone
let me
to
tell
therapy
you,
to do that.
Ordinary
Have
life,
you?
yeah, but without going to therapy all the time.
Wait, what's your solution? What's your solution?
People, I think at school and colleges, we need to reinforce, this comes back to masculinity with men. We need to reinforce the mental tools required for life.
Such as?
Well, I can tell you when I can chart the absolute descent of this in the wrong way. And I think it began in America, when you started giving kids participation prizes for coming last at sport. Absolute shambles. I mean, whoever thought of that?
How does this have to do with actually like men making their emotions better
I'm
off?
explaining.
It's participation trophies. Oh my gosh.
I'm explaining because if young people are conditioned to think that if you come last at something, you get a prize, it is the worst possible preparation for the real world.
So what's the actual
Because,
solution?
Parker,
You're just telling a
Parker,
problem again.
do you want-
Problem. What's the solution?
Parker, if I could finish my sentence.
Start with the solution.
The solution is you just stop talking for a moment, right?
How about you actually provide a solution? All you've done is bring about problems.
Parker, I've just given you a solution. I want
That's
more.
not a solution. That's a
Yes,
problem.
you stop participation prizes. You condition kids to deal with the real world when they become adults.
Your fix
Otherwise,
for
when they
men
get
not having the ability to
Stop
address their emotions
talking,
in a
Parker.
positive way is
Parker.
literally
God,
participation
no wonder
trophies not
Jordan
being
Peter's
there.
advantage is so annoying. Look,
Have you been on your own show?
Parker.
You interrupted me the whole time, and now you're just getting the same thing.
Well, because you
You're
never
just
stop talking,
Don't,
like
don't
a
be
robot.
mad. Don't be mad.
Parker.
Are you mad?
No, I'm trying to finish my sentence.
It's okay.
Parker, come on, calm down. You're shaking.
I'm totally
Hey,
calm.
Parker.
I'm not shaking at all.
Parker, you're shaking.
I'm not shaking. Why do you have to act like I'm?
here's my
Why do you have
point.
to say something delusional to try to deflect away from the fact that
me explain.
you haven't addressed anything meaningful
Jesus
here?
Christ, Parker. My point is, there's a brilliant book by Jonathan Haidt about the impact of smartphones on young brains, right? And it goes back to 2010 when smartphones became smart. In other words, you could access absolutely everything. And I look at what happens on my feed each day, and I'm horrified about what may happen to younger, more impressionable brains, right? And so young people's brains have got scrambled. So since 2010, there's a direct correlation of young people who get ever more anxious, ever more depressed, in some cases, tragically, ever more suicidal. And it's been driven by this constant negative dopamine. So partly, I understand why what I call the weak, whiny, woke wastrels are like they are, because they're constantly getting overloaded with negative dopamine, which is making them think the whole world's about to end. In fact, as Steven Pinker has explained in great detail, statistically, this has never been a better time to be alive. There are fewer wars than in recorded history. People are living longer and healthier than in recorded history. There's less child poverty than in recorded history. Water is cleaner than in recorded history, etc., etc., etc. The problem is social media amplifying all the bad stuff going on, making young people think the world's about to end. It's not. So I would like young people to be given the proper tools in their education process to enable them to deal with the real world and make them catastrophize less. I do think in this country, as in my country, young people are over-medicated. I think they go to therapy too much. I think they end up over-analyzing and over-self-obsessing. I think it can make them quite narcissistic. It's all me, and woe is me, woe is me, woe is me. I think we've got to a place, oddly, in society where losing is deemed to be better than winning, where winning is something that should be frowned upon. Actually better to be a good loser and get all your mates to like you going, oh my God, I just failed my driving test for the 20th time, but I'm so proud of myself. I'm like, you're a terrible driver, get better, right? So it's all about how you treat these things. And out of it, hopefully, I would produce a nation of people like me, Parker.
I would love to be able to respond
Perfect
to
way
that.
to end.
So I'm not exactly sure how I feel about a world full of Piers Morgans, but besides that, he is right. We are absolutely over-therapied in this generation. He doesn't need to have gone to therapy to make that determination. And if you want evidence of how over-therapied we are, listen to any woman's podcast on earth. Every other word is about some sort of therapy babble. I learned this from my therapist. I learned that from my therapist.
People will experience a mental health problem at some point this year, right?
And I mean, it's not to say that there's no place for it. Obviously, there's a place for therapy. Things like PTSD and chronic depression, being a threat to yourself, but not because you feel a little bit sad and you have to go and unpack it for weeks and weeks on end. And plus, there are so many other factors here. I mean, mental health issues are at an all-time high, and so is therapy. What does that tell you? But I mean, I don't say this often, but Piers Morgan is just totally right here. They don't need therapy, they need a bit of stoicism.
You need Jesus, man.
Now, if you want to see the therapists that all of these female podcasters are learning things from, you're about to witness it.
My next surrounding claim is that gender-neutral pronouns are pointless.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm Jeremiah. Okay, so, I bet you didn't know that you were coming to a therapy session. I am a therapist. and
Great.
So, yes, finally.
Finally.
But
A missing link in my life.
Yes. So I would argue that pronouns, people being wanting to be referred to the pronouns that they want, actually aid them in their self-esteem improving and their validation and affirmation in life.
Then their lives obviously are lacking a lot of other things. It's like nobody cares about pronouns.
What would their life be lacking?
What pronouns are yours?
I'm he, him.
Okay, so you're a bloke.
Yes.
Okay, well, why do you need to call yourself he, him? I know what you are. You're a man.
Right, but I think that you're talking about people that
Do
want
you
to be
feel
called.
do you feel
Wait.
affirmed by the fact you call me he, him?
I'm talking about other pronouns, so like they, them, z.
Well, they,
right?
them. All right, they, them.
Yes.
There's one person
Well,
saying, call
okay.
me they, them.
But okay, well,
They, them is a plural.
Right,
How
but-
can you be more than one
So
person?
guess what? What about someone
I mean, call me stupid, but-
someone that's non-binary who can engender.
What does
two
non-binary
pronouns.
mean?
I'm explaining it right now. Who can engender both masculine and feminine traits, and that is their third gender. If that's what they want to be called, why is it so hard for you and other people to call them what they want to be
I
called?
just think it's all bullshit.
But I'm asking you,
I don't.
why can't you just call them what they want to be called
No,
if that's what they want to be
Because
called?
I don't want to.
So how are you being empathic if you don't want to call them what they want to be
I
called?
don't care.
But so
I think
empathy.
again-
Empathy is a muscle that you could develop in therapy. So if you went to therapy, you'd have developed that
I
muscle.
can't think of anything I'd rather less develop.
Well,
When one human being says to me, call me they, them, I laugh. It's absurd. There's
Okay.
one of them.
and that shows that you're not empathic.
I asked a non-binary person who was a guest on my show recently, what does non-binary mean? She couldn't explain it.
Okay, so
It was actually torturous.
so that's her. But the thing is, why don't you get someone on your show who can
How
explain
many
it?
pronouns are there?
Multiple.
How many?
I don't know. I'm not an expert in
The
that. but
the last count is there are 74 official ones. Do you know?
no, okay, you're gonna say cat and dog. I'm a cat. I'm a dog. There's he,
I'll
him,
come to those.
she,
No.
ze, they, them. Probably kind of
I'm
like
talking
those.
about gender pronouns.
Yes,
right?
and so am I.
There are 74. One of them is astral gender, an affinity with space.
No, where are you getting this information?
Official genders.
Where-
Google it.
I've
Literally, Google it.
Have you had someone on your show who said, I'm an astral whatever?
Yes, I actually got one on.
No, and did you pay that person to go on? I mean,
Utter lunacy, the whole thing. It's like kids identifying as cats at school.
no,
You know what I would do with
That does
them?
not happen.
It does
That
happen.
is some bogus media presentation. That does not happen.
No, it has happened. Read my book, Woke is Dead. It's all in there.
I don't know if I'll read that.
There was a phenomenon called the furries. You know what it was? Kids would go to school
So
and say,
I know what
I'm
furries are,
identifying
and
as a
furries
cat.
are not a gender. That's
I'm a cat.
that's its own kind of lifestyle. It's like people in outfits
But this is where, with all due respect, this is where limitless self-identity takes you. It takes you to the absurd. For example,
But
do you believe? Let me ask you.
Okay, go.
Do you believe that you can identify as anything you like?
No.
Oh, what are the
No.
exceptions?
I think that most people that when they think about their gender identity, it's he, him, she, her, they, z. Those are the ones that
What's
people
Z?
are. Z is oh God. Now I can't explain it. No, but Z.
You've no idea, have you? It's all complete baloney. What's Z? I've no idea. And you're the guy trying to defend this nonsense. Here's my other question for you, right?
I think we're out, though,
it used to
but-
be LGBT, then it was LGBTQ. What is it now? What's the
It's LGBTQ plus, or it could be LGBTQIA2S, Two Spirit.
Right, and what does it stand for?
Two Spirit or the Two
No, the whole
Spirit.
thing. LGBT, read the whole thing.
Lesbian, gay, bisexual, LGBT, trans, queer, or questioning. LGBTQIA, intersex, asexual. Two Spirit is the two-spirited individuals.
You forgot pansexual and asexual.
Well, so pan is, I did say asexual. Pan is not in there. Nice to
meet you, man.
So it starts off with a limp handshake and doesn't get any better from there.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
The first thing you should be teaching if you are a therapist is that when you meet somebody, you should look them in the eye and show a bit of respect by giving a good handshake. And also, in terms of the debate, he obviously just did a terrible job there and made his profession look awful.
You've no idea, have you? It's all complete baloney. What's Z? I've no idea. And you're the guy trying to defend this nonsense.
And I mean, if it wasn't obvious enough to you already, it's abundantly clear to me that this person is using their job as a therapist to push their ideological agenda. And this is exactly what people don't like about this industry. It's obviously so dominated by woke lefties. I mean, would you ever let your child go to someone like that? I would hope not. But ultimately, this is what therapy is today. It's an ideological practice and not a scientific one. It's an industry that the university elites can fill with basically brain-dead ideologues. And it seems to me reasonable that if all of these ideologues are going into this industry, and if they are pushing their modern psychological agenda, then they're preying on the weak and vulnerable. But this is the state of therapy. I mean, a scientific endeavor does not lead to the denial of basic biology, and that's what's happening there. And now the next person I want to cover says one thing that destroys her entire position. See if you pick it up. Let's get into it.
Hello.
Hello, Piers.
What's your name?
I'm Jenny.
Jenny, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So, we wanted to talk about, I guess your initial claim is that pronouns are silly or purposeless.
I think we've just established how silly they are. I mean, even the people defending them can't remember what they mean.
Right. So, I just wanted to touch on two things here. So, I don't think anyone is denying biological sex assignment at birth, right? Whatever your doctor determines your...
Well, it's not about doctors assigning anything, is it? You're either born with certain genitals or you're not.
Right, but a doctor has to look at it.
When you're a male or
that.
female.
Right, understanding.
Do you accept that?
Yeah, I do think that we've got
this
two
whole
sexes.
phrase, assigned at birth, what does it mean?
That means a doctor has looked at you as
No,
a baby.
they look at you and they just see what I look at you and see. I don't have to be a doctor to know what you're assigned as.
Right, but okay.
You're just
So-
born. Do you accept that the vast majority of people ever in the history of planet Earth are born male or female?
Yeah, I do believe, but
Can
there
we stop
is
the phrase
some...
assigned at birth by a doctor?
That's
Literally,
what a doctor
I've
does,
had 4
though.
babies. They look at them and they go, oh, it's a boy, it's a girl. That's it.
Right, so a
What you
doctor
then decide
determines
to call
that and
yourself,
writes that on
it's
your birth
entirely down to you.
certificate.
But there's no one
Okay,
assigning
can I
anything.
finish my point, please?
Yeah, but they're not assigning anything.
Can I
It's a
finish
ridiculous
my point,
phrase.
please?
Feel
Thank
free.
you. So, whatever your biological sex is determined by a doctor upon your birth, I don't think anyone's denying that.
Right.
However, gender is a construct that is how we express ourselves.
How many genders are there?
For me, I think that it's a scale, and however you want to express yourself is up to you.
Can I
But
express myself as anything I want?
Well, if you let me finish my point.
Sure.
Okay, so for example, we talk about masculinity, we talk about femininity, and some days I feel like I want to feel more feminine, so I wear a dress or I do things that are socially constructed and designated as feminine. Or maybe other people have like this idea of masculinity, so they present themselves in that way. So gender is different from biological sex in that it's how you express yourself. To me, somebody's gender expression and how they want to be addressed is no different than using somebody's name.
Right.
Because I write, so when we use pronouns, it's with purpose, right?
What are your pronouns?
She, her.
So you're a woman.
Yes. Yeah.
So why do you need to call yourself she, her?
Well, that's just how you address
Why?
women.
So why use them as pronouns?
But pronouns are just used in English
We never
language.
used to. This has just only started 10 years ago. Nobody ever...
Pronouns has always been used in the
Yes.
English language.
I'm talking about the new cavalcade of extra pronouns.
I think
other
we're
than-
making it out to
if
be
you're a
so much
woman,
more
you're a
than it
she,
really
her.
is.
If you're a man, you're a he, him. That's it.
Okay.
Right? The rest of it is just a complete construct of the woke left. And
Okay,
none
a
of
construct,
it, as
like
we've
you
already
said.
established, none of it makes sense to the point that none of you can even explain half of it.
No, and I'm still explaining it. So
How many genders are there?
I'm still talking about gender
No,
expression.
but can you
and
tell me how many genders there are?
I'm talking about.
How many are there?
I personally don't care. I don't know.
Do you know a number?
No, because for biological sex,
Do
maybe
you
we can talk
believe
about that
do
in
you believe in
binary.
the concept of limitless self-identity?
No. So if
So
you
what's
would
the,
let
where's
me,
the limit?
if you would let me continue.
Where's the limit?
If you would let me continue. Thank you. So what I'm saying though is that when you refer to somebody in their pronouns that they ask for, it's just general English language how we use it. There are plenty of languages out there that don't even have pronouns because that's just how the language works. So if you can speak a different language and not have to refer to somebody by their pronouns, I know exactly who you're talking to, then I don't think pronouns are a big deal.
I hear you, and you phrased it very nicely. But my point being, I think it's got completely out of hand.
Okay.
When there are 74 cited genders if you Google it as the official list of genders. And one of them is an affinity with space. I'm calling bullshit.
Okay.
When you have LGBTQ and it now has so many letters that even experts in the field of the LGBT community acronym cannot remember what they all mean, it is ridiculous. And when it comes to limitless self-identity, I had this debate with someone on International Women's Day on my show Uncensored. And I had two guests, one was white, one was black. There's a relevance to that. And we were talking about this and I said, right, two women. I said, do you believe in limitless self-identity? And the wokey of the two guests said, I do. And you have to respect what people want. And she said, yes. I went, okay, in that case, I, on International Women's Day, Piers Morgan, am now identifying as a black lesbian. And the black panelist burst out laughing because she knew what I was doing, which is taking this argument to its logical conclusion, which is once you make it limitless, society just collapses because anyone can say that they're anything they want.
If I may interject.
And you would say to me, if I said to you, I'm a black lesbian, what would you say?
I would say that you're conflating this idea of limitless, like whatever, gender expression or self-identity.
Yeah.
I already said I don't agree with that.
But you didn't say where the limit is.
Right. So for me personally, and what I believe is that there are scientific things that we can agree to, like biological sex, right? But gender expression is a cultural and societal.
You said that, but where is the limit to what you can identify?
So you can't identify as another race because that's just genetically not correct.
Right.
Right?
So there are limits to this.
Yeah, I do.
So I'm really curious where the woke limit is on self-identity.
Gender is a social construct. A social construct means we made it up. Right?
Yes.
Exactly. So
it's completely invented.
Therefore, you can have whatever identity that you want because you've decided to create that.
Yes,
for
but
you.
my point,
But why is that a problem?
No, here's the problem. It's got so out of control. Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you.
It is really funny how self-defeating these arguments are sometimes, and it's quite fun to just put these people in a loop in a debate. I've done it a few times. And the roots of the gender ideology that she's talking about are so dark. The inventor of gender, John Money, was a despicable man who used a boy who had a botched circumcision to run an experiment on, having him raised as a girl.
After David died, there was an outcry. Dr. Money did not cause David's death, but his family felt that he was partly responsible. Because Dr. Money had pursued his theory in the face of convincing evidence that the gender assignment had not worked, they felt that he had traumatized their son in childhood to the extent that he became suicidal as an adult.
You're always going to see people that are going to say, well, the Dave Reimer case could have been successful. I'm living proof. And if you're not going to take my word as gospel, because I have lived through it, who else are you going to listen to?
And since then, gender has been a subversive newspeak. And she's saying that you can't identify as another race. But it's funny because race is something that actually is on a spectrum. You can be a little bit black and a little bit white. You can have a bunch of different races, so you can be 70% white or something along these lines. But that's not the case with sex. But she says that you can't identify as another race because genetically that's not correct.
If I said to you, I'm a black lesbian, what would you say?
You can't identify as another race because that's just genetically not correct.
Right. Well, neither is a man pretending to be a woman or a woman pretending to be a man.
Hey, man, you better watch how you talking to me, man, for real.
Did you care about that when you were trying to kiss me? Aaron.
Wait. What the fuck you want to do? Keep it in 100, bro. What you want to do? Come on.
These people are trying to imitate the opposite sex. That's why it used to be called transsexual. So she's going to tell me that I can't identify as black and have it accepted and affirmed. But women can pretend to be men and have that affirmed. And the reason why I can't do that is because I'm not genetically black. While she simultaneously holds that women who are genetically not men can be men, and we have to affirm that. And not only do we have to affirm that, but they actually are men. Needless to say, that's a contradiction. It breaks the basic laws of logic. So next up, we're going to explore why you have to make defensible points.
How's it going, Piers?
Hello.
Good to meet you.
Good to see you.
My name's Dash.
Good to see you.
Piers standing off against the liberals. This is really something.
Well, I am a liberal.
Your thoughts and beliefs in private, I would assume, more align with ours, but I understand getting I understand getting that bag.
Well,
so
I don't know your thoughts.
I'll save you the trouble. I'll do it for you.
Okay.
Piers Morgan's new book, Woke is Dead, is out now. It's great.
Thank you.
I also read it cover to cover.
Thank you very much.
I wanted to take that off your shoulders.
Thank you.
But let's get into it. So I'm just curious, someone who doesn't have any kind of a relationship with accountability, would you agree that everything comes across to them as cancel culture?
No, I don't believe that speech comes without accountability.
Okay.
But I do believe we had a frenzied atmosphere in the last few years, driven predominantly by the woke left, of cancelling anybody that didn't sign up to their worldview, which I thought was very insidious. I called it out while it was happening. I've called it out since. I've now written a book about it all, saying we cannot go back to that. It doesn't mean the right aren't capable of doing similar stuff and being hypocrites. They are. But it also means that if you look at it in totality, I think this cancel culture mentality has been really damaging. And I think the war on free speech has been really damaging.
Okay, well, let's put this on a spectrum, because I think we use this term cancel culture and everybody's been canceled by the left. I don't have any actual evidence of what you're talking about. So let's say accountability is on this side, which is you facing consequences for your actions.
Let me give an example.
And on this side of the spectrum, it is facing consequences for something that is not justified.
Let me give an example.
So now let's start to place it in that spectrum.
Let me give you a specific example.
Because the people you carry water for on the right tend to be over here, where they don't take
I
accountability
don't
for
carry
anything
water
and instead feel like they're being canceled.
Wait a minute.
Although it's just
Do you ever watch my
consequences
show?
for your basic actions.
Do you ever watch my show?
I do.
And you really think I carry water for the right?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes. There's a statistic that you defend Republicans more than anybody else.
No, I don't. I just attack the woke left more than anybody else.
Okay.
But it's friendly fire. I come at you as one of your own, only I didn't go mad.
I appreciate you admitting
Only
that.
I didn't go mad, right? I didn't go mad, woke, bonkers. I stayed old-fashioned liberal, with liberal values, wanting free speech at the cornerstone of it. And let me give an example.
But Piers, I read your book. That's not the case.
Let me give
you spent most of the book with Trump's cock in your mouth.
If you read sorry?
You spent most of the book with Trump sucking him off.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. The prologue was The Dawn Rises, D-O-N.
The prologue, actually, if you read it, and I don't think you did, because you just revealed you probably haven't. The prologue actually starts with two conversations I had with him. One positive and one extremely negative.
Yes.
Which ends up with him saying, Piers Morgan's so dead, he's catching flies.
Right.
I'm not sure you've read the book, have you?
I have read the book.
Then you wouldn't say that I bleep.
No, because that was you meeting him at Mar-a-Lago, trying to win favor back because he was becoming the presumptive nominee, so you needed to get back onto his side.
Yes, but look.
After spending years being a critic of his, then you needed to win favor back when he was coming into power.
I've never spent years as a critic of Trump. I've spent years. I've known Donald Trump nearly 20 years. He's been a politician for the last 10 years of that period. In that time, for example, I used to write columns for the Daily Mail in America. I calculated after his first term in office, I wrote about 120 columns about Trump. You can go and check it.
Okay.
And about half were negative and half were positive. I do think in Trump's first term, if people had been fairer to give him credit where he deserved it and criticized him when he deserved it, everyone would have been a lot better off. I feel it now. The Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing, and it's honestly...
I wear that badge proudly.
I know, but it's kind of pathetic. It's like when I hear people say, he's the new Hitler. Really? Hitler murdered 12 million people, including 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. You think Donald Trump is the new Hitler? You're a fucking idiot.
Okay,
right?
if we're going to talk about hyperbole, here we have focused half of the discussion today on trans issues, but we're not going to talk about things like, I don't know, Trump is in the Epstein files and he's using the government to cover it up. Should we talk about that?
Sure.
That affects a lot of people.
Let's talk about
How about him denying the
Let's talk
2020
about that.
election and eroding the public's trust in our institutions and processes?
Ask me.
That affects everybody.
Okay.
So let's try not deflecting to the trans athletes conversation.
You've just brought up two more issues. I'm happy to talk about
We'll
that.
see if you deflect. Go on.
Well, go on. You want to ask me about them? Go on.
Okay, well, I'm saying let's focus on the issues that affect lots of people, not deflect into
Actually,
the
trans
culture
athletes
war,
in sport,
issues that affect very few people in the grand scheme of things.
Well, let's be clear. The number of people directly affected by the Epstein scandal is probably 2,000.
What the president of the United States covering up a pedophilia scandal affects everybody.
If that's what he's doing. Well,
common sense. You're a champion of common sense.
Well, I can tell you that I've spoken to Virginia Giuffre's lawyer multiple times, David Boyce. He's seen the files. He does not believe there's anything against Trump in those files. Well, okay.
What happened to common sense, Piers?
Well, actually, I prefer to stick to facts.
So Piers Morgan is being totally honest here. He does actually critique and praise Trump. I would say just as much, just depending on the time and depending on the issue. And I've watched enough of his stuff to know that he does not carry water for the right, nor is he right-wing in any meaningful way whatsoever. Not a conservative, not a traditionalist, he's a liberal, and that's what he says he is. He is that. Yes, he deviates from the far left, but he is not a conservative by any stretch of the imagination. And what we've just seen here is a good example of why you shouldn't go off half-cooked without the information. When you make claims like this, you have to have your facts straight, and you have to actually have some evidence or justification for the allegation that you're making. And this is especially true when you're calling somebody a hypocrite. So anyways, I didn't expect to see Piers Morgan on Jubilee, but I mean, here we are. But this whole installment shows the woke left as exactly what they are, fundamentally confused people at odds with the truth of the world. They argue that stoicism is bad and that instead you need to go to therapy and that there can be unlimited genders. And they have minimal grasp on reality. They're uncharitable, disingenuous, and largely gay.
You are gay.
And the funny part is that even when they put themselves up against a centrist or a liberal, a lefty, like Piers Morgan, they still show themselves to be absolutely nuts. But anyways, guys, that's all from me today. Don't forget to check out Ground News just below there. Don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you want to watch another video. Of course, you can click right here. Until next time, I'm Jake. This is RattlesnakeTV, keeping you armed and dangerous.